All right, hello everyone, and welcome to Low-Code Campfire episode number 45. This is the one where we talk about multi-portal and whatever else we want to talk about. This is April 8th, and I am your host, or one of them, Dale Warner, Head of Support for Plant an App. We get together every Friday, do a community gathering to talk about low-code in general, Plant an App in specific, and this is an all skill levels welcome event. We record all these events, and we've got all of the last 44 of them out there on YouTube. So that's plantanapp.com slash youtube.com/plantanapp. We run this as a pretty informal meeting, so we'll say hello and then touch on things like what's first call on your mind, what's going on the Campfire websites, feature requests. Open mic, you can sing if you want. I'm not going to, I don't think. And then after a while, we'll close out this first part of the meeting and have an afterglow, an unpublished segment where we can talk about, well, anything else that comes to mind. Yeah, we don't have a lot of problem with courtesy, but if you stay muted when you have noise behind you, that's great. And with that, we'll say hello. I don't see anybody new to the meeting, so nobody to introduce themselves, but good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have to just comment real quick for Dale that I know for a fact that given a choice between singing for you or dancing for you, he would choose singing.
This is true. We had a team. But there's there's always a little bit more to the story, right? We had a team hangout yesterday, and it was a would you rather with typically some pretty bad choices. You have to do A or B, and I did say sing, but there's only one song that comes out of this any good, and that's Happy Birthday. So, because I can sing that all in one note.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of threats, but after hearing that, I'm not sure I want to hear it.
Well, and the dancing is even worse. So that's why I picked A instead of B. I didn't see. What did you pick, Patrick?
I chose singing also. Indeed.
And your selected song it would be?
Oh, I don't know. I would sing just about anything rather than dance.
Fair enough. Okay. So first call, what's on your mind? Anything we can solve or bring up first?
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, I have a question. Has anybody ever seen, what I think to be a strange error with doing an Excel spreadsheet import? If I turn on errors, it always throws an error saying first name. There's a problem with the first name column, but I've gone through the process 8 ways to Sunday, and the first name is definitely in there. The column names match. I'm just trying to import one record. And it says the required field first name value was not set. By the way, even though it throws the error, it successfully imports the user. The first name in the users table is updated correctly, as well as the first name in the user profile table. Both are updated correctly. So it's working, but it's still throwing an error. Anybody see that before?
So are you saying that the Excel, first of all, I haven't seen it, but I'm trying to jump in and solve the problem. Are you feeling like it's a problem with the Excel import part, or you're going on to update other things?
No, it's the actual Excel import. Well, insofar as I can tell, it's yeah. It says DNN sharp common action entities execute actions on entity list Yeah, then it shows a system exception.
Is it something that you're willing to show on the screen this morning?
Yeah,
Because you're welcome.
just give me a second to get it set up.
While he's
And then
setting it up.
Yep. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. And yeah, okay, good. So there's a, while he's setting that up, was a really good one that talking about, I wanted to talk about contributions on the Campfire site and really, let's see. This was a gem this week on the community portal.
You beat me to it. I was just going to say I'm going to add that to the community portal.
Well, I haven't added it to Campfire, but I took advantage of it in Campfire. But this was just such a gem that you contributed, and in two different ways. Thank you for being right on top of that. But if anybody didn't see it, I suggest that you take a look at this question on community portal 1777. And what I did was I just for fun, I took advantage of this. This is the contribution or donate icon, but I used Ben's technique to generate a card on every row. And so you can see it's got the contribution ID and the username nicely formatted in there. So if you want something that looks like a dashboard card, but using it in other places like Action Form or Action Grid, very cool technique to do that. And in my playing with it, I put it, this is my low-code test site. And so I used it, for example, and I mean, I stole this brazenly. I have the color codes from that you posted and the Font Awesome link that you posted. But for example, I added a link so that when you click on red, it pops up an average rank color and puts it up here. So you can change the color of the card. You know, I have a black version too, but you could pick any color that worked as color code, RGB color code. And then in the same way, you know, I'm just passing in through a link the value that gets shown, so you can pick that. So it's just a very nice dynamic. It's a nicely formatted card, and you can do a lot of things with it, and obviously pick other icons. So
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned in the thing, I created that quite a while ago, just basically because I needed to be able to use a SQL query to pull out my value, which isn't available in the actual dash card. So basically by doing it this way, you could put any value you need. And the other nice thing is because it's a my token, anywhere that you can use a my token would be acceptable. So even if you wanted to throw it into an HTML module that, you know, as long as you check off replace tokens, it'll even work in there.
Yep, absolutely. So,
and you can center them.
Well, put it where you want. Absolutely. This was in an action form, and so of course it becomes responsive when you say of course, and then I've got it off the screen here. But I think I did this in an action form. Oh, come on. See, I say things and then I can't get it. Yeah, so, you know, that's put in an action form in two different static texts, and it reformats, and so you can take advantage of whatever else you're working with to get that to happen. Okay, enough of that.
That looks real nice, Ben.
Well, and the way he explained it, I mean, it's you know, two parts to the setup. You got to put in a token, which he's provided in two different ways, the XML and the JSON format. And then you put in some CSS, and then you can use it as a token wherever you can use tokens. So very cool.
Thank you, Ben, for the XML.
Yeah, good stuff.
You're very welcome. Like I said, ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, if you I didn't want to I didn't want to step on your toes and actually do the contribution in your name, but if you throw that out there, that would be terrific. But we're certainly showing how to use it. So that was a good one. All right, Matt, coming back to you. Are you ready to?
Yeah. Thank you. All right. All right.
With this particular brain trust, somebody's going to spot what's going on. So,
Well, let me start by, the form I've created to do the upload essentially has got some very nominal fields. The first name field, notably, is not in the form because I don't need it in the form.
Mhm.
However, I'm thinking maybe that could be the source of the problem. The error message that I get is depending on the, I get that, or I get this long version if I expose the token for all the errors. So let me show you the spreadsheet. Bear with me. So the spreadsheet itself is pretty simple. First, last, email, and then this thing called relationship ID that I need. That's it. So if I've turned off, if I continue on error, everything's fine. But
before we go on, let's take a look at the where you import the spreadsheet.
This is the form that I use.
Yeah, that's the execute action.
Yeah.
The action above this one is where it comes in.
Create list.
So we're loading file. It's uploading it. This name is Raider list, and so you have first name to first name. Okay. So you have first name. You kind of I would say that all the properties that you put in there, I think you could have just not done that, right? Because
I was just going to ask, did you check the one on the top that says just include all fields and not actually write out every single property?
Yeah, I've done it a bunch of different ways.
Okay.
And so I figured to be explicit was probably not a bad thing. But either way, the error that I received is identical, so it kind of didn't seem to matter.
Okay.
So I put it in this sheet called Raiders.
Okay. The list name is Raider list.
Yeah, sorry. The sheet name on the spreadsheet is Raiders.
Yep.
Okay. And I come in here. So the Raider list, first name, last name, email. I grab a session variable, a couple of session variables. And then,
I'm sorry, what is that action doing? It's
this execute action right here.
Yeah, execute import Raiders. Yeah.
That's what this is.
Yep.
And user registration, email first, last. I don't send him any emails. I don't do anything there. The next thing I do is
What's the input look like on that?
First, last, email, project, account number.
So when you run the workflow independently, does it work fine if you do save and test?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it works. It works fine if I shut this off. In other words, if I shut the error message off in the continue on error, it works fine. So the thing that I'm wondering, and I just have not had a chance to test this yet, is if I put a field first, last, and email in here in the form itself as a hidden field, would that error go away?
It's easy enough to try.
Now you really put me on the spot there, Mark.
You have to do it now.
No, I'm kidding.
So can you scroll down to that execute actions again?
Yep.
So we're creating first name. Okay, that's the create list. So keep going to the execute actions.
Yeah.
Yep. So open up that one.
Yeah.
And
Raider
list
list.
first name.
Oh.
And then you're updating the user profile there in the next one. What's that one doing?
That's just putting an account number in a profile field that I have called account number, and that works fine.
Okay. And the error message that you have, does it show an action ID that's?
Here's the actual verbose error message. It says, yeah, it's execute. It just says execute actions on entity list. So they only execute actions.
So it's one of these three actions that you have there. So another possibility would just be to put false on two of them and make sure that the one that you think is erroring is the one that's actually erroring.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good idea. I will try that.
I have a quick question. The workflow that you have,
Yes.
the incoming parameter is required. I am thinking that is your error right there. Because if you look at your error message, it's not prefacing it with the name of a list or anything. It's specifically saying first name required field. This is the only place you have a required field called first name. It's your workflow is complaining that what you're spitting to it is missing a value.
Okay.
You're not supplying first name to the workflow in one of its iterations. And that's what it's complaining about. Now, I will say this. I have had an issue in the past where when executing actions on a list, referencing the sub-item, the field in the list directly, always failed. The only way I was able to get it to work was to dump that field into another token and then use that token in the action. So I would have, for argument's sake, before your call to your workflow, I would have a create token and then take your bracket list name colon first name, dump that into another token, call it, whatever, my first name, and then use my first name in your workflow. I'm not saying that's this particular issue, but right there, what you have highlighted, Raider list colon first name. I've had issues in the past when I've tried doing that, never worked. It would always come out blank. It wouldn't get me the value correctly.
I think we got.
I've seen this issue before, actually. Now look at it. It's the second line in your spreadsheet that's not empty.
Yes.
So it wants to try your second row in the spreadsheet, and that doesn't have first name in it, and so it tries to do something with it, and it crashes on that.
Yep.
I've seen this before.
So if I knew how many entries were going to be on the spreadsheet, I could set the parameters of the import. But this is, I can't do that in this case because I have no idea how many are coming in.
Well, couldn't you put a filter in your loop and say where first name is not equal to quote, quote?
Yeah, where first name is empty, stop, something like that.
Where, where in here?
In your execute.
In the execute?
Yeah, execute.
Okay.
Maybe in the next one. This is the workflow.
Yeah.
Not that one.
Yeah.
Not this one?
Yeah, I think it's good. Because it starts to process every row in your spreadsheet, and it finds a row which got some space in it or nothing, but at least it's not empty.
Will that work, you think?
Not equal.
Oh, thank you.
And
oops.
I don't know about you. I wouldn't necessarily do it there. I would put it in the filter.
Yeah.
In the filter when you first pull out your list.
Right.
But anyway, I think
what is that to create? Let's go down a little bit.
Start row, end row, and my last two there, on error, and that's it.
No, in the execute actions.
In the actual, in here.
Nope.
No.
All right,
Where you were,
I
the
think
actual
it's fine
execute
what you did.
actions itself.
that's what
I
it
did
this
what I
is.
did. That's it.
Mhm.
In this
See,
condition.
filter,
An add
Filter. filter, right there. Add filter.
Here. Okay.
That's where you do it.
All right. So at this point, all right, it's coming in. List name, Raider list. So I got to go Raider list.
Yeah, I
first
can't go
name.
here because it's that's only a
Oh,
match. So
It's
I
an
think-
equals only, right?
Yeah, we're very close. Put that same conditional that you have on all your execute action lines, and I think
This one.
because it's
Put
going
it
to have
on.
to be on the other ones too, because you don't want to update if it's an empty row.
Right. Okay.
You're missing a quote on that, it looks like.
No, that's a double single quote. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And then condition here. So you're thinking that this might do it.
Well, now you have to test it in front of us, for sure.
I know. It's crazy.
It's
Hold
the
on.
moment of truth.
I know. Well,
But Peter, you're absolutely right. There could be any number of rows in an Excel.
Yeah, you can't see it. You can't see it.
right. Okay. Yeah. And I also did with this spreadsheet, I went down and I tried to delete all of the rows below it just to make sure that that it
Easiest way to tell is save it as a CSV and then open it up as a CSV.
Yeah, and it was indeed blank. So let's give it a try. Ready? Make sure this guy, okay, I'm gonna close the spreadsheet, bear with me. Okay, up node. Jason Fields, okay, so that worked. Now the question I forgot to check is, did I have that continue on error checked or unchecked? If it's unchecked, then we're continue on error. Okay, hey, guess what?
That
I
was
think
it.
that's it.
And it's so tough because you can't control what somebody else is going to do on an Excel sheet, have extra rows or stuff like that. So it's just
Well, it can still crash if there's a space in it now.
Where are you referring to?
Well, if you have a
First
space in the first name, it can still not work.
All right, hang on. I want to see this because I've been spent a fair amount of quality time with this.
Yeah, I
If
can
I
believe
get it
that.
right. So the first name field, if you're saying if this is blank
No,
or
no, do the
Right
next
underneath Jason, just put space as the first name and save
Yeah.
it.
one. A couple of spaces, it will be fine.
like
No,
that.
no.
Okay.
Just
Actual spaces.
Okay. Hang on. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to replace this guy with
spacey. You have to have the fields. Yeah. Oh, this will crash on the third, I guess.
all right, let's give it a shot.
And you put a single space as the first name?
I did. That is my testimony. Right. Okay, so now it's saying last name is not set.
Yeah, that's because it's on the third row you had a space for first name and nothing on last name. So
Okay, let me just.
it's all. I think we've come to your answer. It's about
Yes.
filtering out rows that appeared or are empty, right?
yeah, you must be a little more.
Yeah, if you
It's
really,
range.
really, really wanted to check it, all of those required fields would have to be in your conditional statement.
Yes.
So you'd have to say where first name is not equal to quote, quote, last name is not equal to quote, quote, whatever is not, and all of them you'd have to check. So that way you can guarantee that every single cell has a value. If any one of those cells are missing a value, it will skip it.
But those are only in other words, those are the only cells I need to check are the required cells that are required for creating a new user.
The required fields for your workflow.
Okay.
Your workflow is the one that's crashing.
Okay.
Because you're not supplying a value to the ones that you said are required.
So in this case, if I had unchecked required on first name, the first name had a space in it, it's still going to run.
And it would still try and create it. Yeah.
Yes, but maybe
you
the
just need to
next
realize
action,
that execute actions is processing more rows and making sure that you edit the row, only allow through the rows that you need.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, it's an interesting reminder of what kinds of things can be biting you, and that execute actions is trying to do a lot of things for you. So do all the rows. Okay. So that was a first call item. Was there any other first call? Anybody else have something that they want to jump into?
Anyone got ideas on since we talked Excel there, I have vendors that send me an XLS versus XLSX file. Anyone have a simple solution to convert it in Plantain app as opposed to right now we're having to edit it manually before we submit the files?
Right. The importer accepts XLSX. Is that correct?
Right. I found some third-party libraries that looks like it will allow me to convert it, that I haven't tried yet. But since we have so much brain power here listening today, I thought, okay.
Yeah.
Ben's going to go, oh yeah, well there's this extra comma you throw in, and
my recollection is that XLS was proprietary, and the library that we use doesn't read it. I think it's something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't work, and I always thought of them as synonymous, but it turns out they're not.
And I think, and again, I think we've kind of, if not with you, with others, I've suggested there are external things that will do the conversion, but I hate to have to refer you to
right
outside the product, but as far as I know, that's the thing to do.
Okay. Right now, there's a nice macro that opens them up, saves them, and emails them back to the system. So it's only a button click for the user. But I'd rather get rid of the button click. Well, I'd rather get rid of the user out of the process. That was more reliable.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't know how many people would say we rather get rid of the user.
I'm going to go on to a beta topic here for a minute because everybody was impacted is online. There were a couple of people, Jim and Peter, where the users and pages didn't generate in the new, after upgrading to 120, our intermediate, our beta version. Did you find the solution to this? Did you see a solution to this yet? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have not seen the solution to it yet. I did not see that message until.
Yeah, I'm going to post it here on the chat so that you have it. But this is a real simple process. What happened? One of our scripts didn't run. So the result is that when you got to the users page or the pages page, it wasn't our nice new Bootstrap 5 version. It was the older version or not there. So the solution, and I'll just run through it real quick so that you can see it. On the pages that we automatically generate and add under wherever you have the product. So we have the users management page and the page management. We can trick this into regenerating the page. So if we delete out users management and delete out page management, that the SQL console, we can paste that same thing in that I put on the chat in SQL console. And what this is doing is it's saying, hey, we don't have, it's telling the environment we don't have a page management or a users grid URL, and it'll force it to regenerate. So I'm going to run that query, and then you restart the application and it will regenerate them.
I think, Dale, did you remove them from the recycle bin?
Thank you for catching me. Yes, because it says, right, got to remove them. So you go to the pages. Yep. When you delete the pages, nope. Let's find the right place, the recycle bin. They're here. If you don't delete them, it considers them to still be there, soft deleted. So we'll get rid of them. And now when we restart the server, restart the application rather, it'll regenerate those. Trip in. And
So are the actions and things that are part of that tied to the regeneration? Because the other part of that test was to test certain functionality, which appeared to be working, just the look wasn't right.
right, you would have been seeing the old content that Patrick actually did the work on these, and so that you would have been seeing the old content with the old functionality, and so it wouldn't work. So doing this, so you'll see the new functionality, and that's worth testing.
Do you have users in the system?
This is still old, I guess.
That was just a test site. So
okay.
So that's a quick one on that. Aside from that, I'll give one more chance to bring something up, and then we're going to go to our unrecorded segment and talk about multi-portal. Okay, so for the recording, we'll get together again next Friday, 10 a.m. Central. Thanks for coming, and we will see you next time.